New Year, same Chelsea Football Club. It hasn't even been halfway through the first day of the year, and already Chelsea Football Club, notoriously known for their history of sacking managers, giving them short-term stints. Whether it's Todd Bowley, Roman Abramovich, I think we can all agree Chelsea Football Club still remain the same. Whoever their owners are, however the club is run, they just operate the same way. And with Enzo Maresca, on the 1st of January 2026, he has been sacked. He has left Chelsea Football Club, and to be honest with you, was it meant to be? I don't know. But let's just look into the deep facts on why he was sacked. Now, we can say it was a bad run of form. He has only won one game in his last 7, which is pretty bad, to be honest with you, for Chelsea Football Club. He drew against Newcastle, he lost against Aston Villa and other teams, and very recently he drew against Bournemouth, where it was a tough game, 2-2, but still, for a club like Chelsea Football Club, they should be dominating those sorts of teams. And don't get me wrong, right, with Maresca, he has done some good things for Chelsea Football Club. He's helped them get to the Champions League this season. He got 4th last season. He helped them win the Club World Cup. God knows how he done that. He helped them win the Conference League. That makes sense. But for them to beat PSG in that Club World Cup, I don't know what's going on. Maybe people are still hungover in the summer. People just didn't care. But somehow Chelsea went and won it, and they're going to have that badge now for God knows how long. And after the game against Everton, he had some quotes which were a bit weird. He said that it had been the worst 48 hours of his Chelsea tenure, and many people didn't support us. So you can see that there was clearly some issues between Maresca and the board, and there were things that clearly showed that they weren't seeing eye to eye. And we can clearly see that throughout his time during at Chelsea, that there was relationships that he had with certain owners and certain directors and whatever, which didn't go well, especially with Behdad Eghbali. Apparently he is one of the co-owners of Chelsea Football Club, and he had a really strange relationship with him. And in terms of some of his behavior, he skipped some of the routine press conferences against the game against Bournemouth, which is pretty much the last game. He hasn't attended that. Apparently he said due to illness or whatever, but I think if you only won one game out of the last 7, there was strains and there were problems. And there was also an issue with regards to how he would use the squad. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Anyone walking into that Chelsea squad, that Chelsea team, the club in general, was going to find it difficult. We know over the last couple of years, they have an abundance of players, too many players. And how the hell do you manage all of them? Do you rely more on young talent? Do you rely more on experienced leaders? How do you incorporate all of these people in? And that's why it's been very, very difficult for Maresca to have a say on what to do with the squad. Because in terms of the signings, apparently Maresca wasn't the guy that was making them. He was just a guy in ordering players what to do. But meanwhile, the higher office were the ones that were in charge of the transfers. And due to these poor run of fixtures and poor run of form from Maresca, they're 5th. 19 games, 30 points, especially with the amount spent over the last couple of years, in the last 18 months. It just hasn't been that good. And with Maresca, he was part of Manchester City's coach team who was under Pep Guardiola, so obviously for him to move from there and go to Chelsea, it was a big step up. I mean, Arteta did the same thing, going from Man City to Arsenal in the same sort of way. However, it just is what it is, and I think that with a lot of the fans, they had a lot of mixed views around Maresca, and they just thought to themselves, like, look, if you spend this much money, especially since Ted Bowley coming, I mean, I think they spent around £1.4 billion in transfers since he's arrived at the club, which is absolutely remarkable. And you have to ask yourself the simple question, with that much investment, are Chelsea performing the way they should? If you spend 1.4 billion, I think we all know the answer to that. If you're just getting top 4, and yes, you're winning a couple trophies here and there, but you should be doing much more. And the league is the biggest indicator on how good your team is, where they are. And that's why, especially like if I were to talk about Arsenal, a lot of people, reasons why Mikel Arteta is still there is because in the league they still do quite well. Yes, Arsenal don't win it, but we're still very high up the table, we're competitive, and we get into those title races come the end of the season. Meanwhile with Chelsea, especially after all that money being spent, after winning the Club World Cup, they are still not in that conversation, which is something that a lot of people may say is quite unacceptable. If we were to look at some of the transfers they've done, especially at Chelsea Football Club, especially over the last year or so, I mean, let's look at some of the players that have arrived since 23-24, right? They've got Caicedo, Lavia, Nkunku, Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson. Then if we go, and that's just a few of the names, I can't even go through all of them, to be honest with you. And then last season they bought Pedro Neto, João Felix, Dewsbury Hall, Jorgensen. I mean, and it's just really, really weird. And then on top of that, this season they bought João Pedro, Jeremy Gittins, Garnacho, Esteval, and there's an instant problem that we can see from there, right? You bought 3 players that all play the same position, and they all cost 50 to 40 million each. So what the hell is going on, and what is the recruitment strategy at Chelsea Football Club? Yes, in terms of their net spend, so let's just say hypothetically from this summer, right, they spent around 339 million euros, right, and they were able to sell around 332 million and recoup that from departures. So they sold players like Madueke to Arsenal very famously, and Nkunku, João Felix, and that was just after one season they've been at the club. So it's really strange what's going on at Chelsea Football Club. They buy a lot of players, and I think a lot of it is due to transfers, because their strategies and how they do it is really strange. But they got guys like Liam Delap, Jarrell Hato, and don't get me wrong, those guys are good players that can potentially be great players. But if you're going to spend 1.4 billion, you need top class players coming in instantly. And out of all the players you can look at from Chelsea Football Club, who are those players that you can say, yeah, they are top world class players? Maybe you can say borderline world class, but not world class entirely. You can make the argument about Cole Palmer, Reece James. I think they're top players. I think Caicedo is good. I think Enzo Fernandez, for his price tag, probably should be doing a lot more. However, if we look at, say, their goalkeeper, I mean, that guy, after that much money being spent, I mean, I don't think he's been very good. And if you look at the team in general, I'm not really entirely convinced by it. And the thing is that with their transfers, I think to sum it all down, they buy good players, but they don't buy great players. And with that much money being spent, that's just unacceptable. But don't get me wrong, I think with Maresca, after all, this is his first stint in the job, especially in like senior management. There were going to be a lot of issues, especially for a club like Chelsea. They're notoriously known for how they deal with their managers. Despite who the ownership is, we can clearly see that now. And due to the strains he had with management, due to the way he's dealt with the players and the tactics that he's done, because don't get me wrong, right, like losing like that, drawing like that to Bournemouth, for myself, is quite unacceptable. But it is what it is. What can you do? And now Chelsea are going to go back on the merry-go-round, or the manager merry-go-round, and look for a new guy. And whether or not they'll get top 4 this season or not, I don't know. Depends on who's in the market and who they can get in as a new manager. We're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, first day of the year, same old Chelsea Football Club, and Enzo Maresca's sacked. Anyhow, that's it for this video. In terms of what he's been able to do, I mean, he's helped them win the Club World Cup, I guess, and they're going to have that badge for the next couple of years. So I guess that's one impact that's going to remain there for the next however many seasons. But yeah, that's what I can really say about it. Anyhow, please like and subscribe. Hope to see you soon, and see you on the next video. Bye bye.